Recently, in one of the last updates, the focused crystal implant has been nerfed. I remember when the implant was originally released, I had about 35 to 40,000 DPS on the Apocalypse Striker, and that number did gradually go down over time, and now I believe the Apocalypse can have about 16,000 DPS. The Apocalypse Striker itself was also nerfed, the siege mode has also been changed, nerfed for some ships and buffed for the Raven Striker, although the buff on the Raven Striker isn't really quite noticeable. So this is the focused crystal, overall a pretty solid implant for PvE. The level 15 secondary has been changed while the support repair seems to be the same, and you get 80 stacks instead of 100, and I think the rapid charge is also the same. So some nerfs and some changes have been done, but overall the usability and performance should still be very solid, and based on the numbers that I see here, you should not have any issues with the ship in PvE. Now I have beam lasers, 2412.78 DPS and 126 kilometer range with the beam lasers. Now I have dual tracking computers because of the siege mode nerf. Don't forget that now the range on the beam lasers has been reduced, and overall you will have to sacrifice some of the heatsinks for some tracking computers. I usually run 2 of them, although I have seen other players use 1 while they focus full on DPS in order to compensate for the nerf that's been done on the siege mode. Now let me quickly show you the maximum possible DPS that I can get on this little boat. The nano core is the illusionary ghost core. It's not leveled up, basically I just keep the primary stat. It's the plus 19% extra damage, and this is a PvE build, by the way. I would not use a ship like this for PvP. Alright, 3402.76 DPS in the siege mode, and the range has been reduced by about 10%, so I will have 100 kilometer range on the beam lasers. Now the charge time on the focused crystal has also been increased. It used to be 3 minutes from 0 to full 100% power, but now it's about 5 minutes, and you still do lose all stacks if you miss the target. So this implant, while it's really good for missions, for PvP it might not be the best choice, especially if the target is moving. It's very easy to lose the DPS that you get from the stacks. Alright, well, after waiting for a couple minutes, now the implant is fully charged. 113 is the optimal range, which is a lot shorter than it used to be. 9,427.74 DPS. This number used to be 12,000 or 15,000 with both headers, 11,000 with one heatsink, with the second one 13,000, almost 14,000, and with the third one 15,000 DPS. Well, it used to be 25,000 before the nerf, now it's 15,000, so on paper a, well, solid nerf. However, this is still going to be more than enough for basically anything that you can do with the ship. It will still be good for PvE, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, I personally expect a lot more nerfs to be done on not just the focus crystal, but on all implants. I also expect the barrage implant to be nerfed, although anything is possible. And in the April patch, in the April balance patch, because, well, April is usually the month where they release a balance patch, I do expect a lot of implants to be changed and overall nerfed. And there is a good chance that the focus crystal will be nerfed even more. Keep in mind, back when this implant was originally released, I was able to get about 40,000 DPS, and now it's only a fraction of that. So it will be time to go and run a mission to demonstrate what this boat can do.
Warp drive active.
Now the build is, well, I would say the build that I use on this ship is cheap. It's definitely nothing super expensive like some of the other Apocalypse strikers that you can see out there. So a basic C-type sniper Apocalypse striker. No afterburner, no micro updrift, only one armor repair, no tank, only full DPS. So this is a low sec mission. Now this ship with this build usually is used in high sec. It's very dangerous to fly a ship like this in low sec because it's very easy to get tackled, and that DPS is not going to save you if you can't hit the target orbiting you at 0. That's the main drawback that a lot of players seem to forget when they are talking about the focus crystal. While it does give you really good DPS, you can lose that DPS just as easy as missing the target. And it's very easy to miss a target if they are orbiting at a very close range. That's the main issue with this implant. But in high sec, it's very pleasant to use. I would say it's also very relaxing to use. There is not a lot of stress involved in flying the Apocalypse striker as a sniper. You warp from mission to mission at 100 and you lock all targets, and you can go AFK, you can be semi-AFK. The Apocalypse will clear the mission just fine. And the Apocalypse is, I guess that's one of the main purposes for this ship. It is a ship for missions. Now, you don't have to fly the Apocalypse striker. I mean, the game is not a competition in who can make more ISK per hour. You should play at your own pace, and you should enjoy the game at your own pace with any ship that you like to fly. In my case, my Apocalypse striker used to be a PvP ship, although the Apocalypse striker has been replaced with the Megatron striker recently. As for PvE, sometimes I use the Macariel that has 60,000 DPS with the barrage implant, and sometimes I use the Spaceman, which can be a AFK boat. You can just local targets, orbit at 40, and you can go do something else. The ship will clear the mission without any problems. The Apocalypse striker can do the same. You can even go with pulse ladders, although the pulse ladders are requiring more attention because you are going to be close range, and if you are close range, then the pirate ships that you're fighting can do damage to you, and if you have no tank, then it might be a problem. So a pulse range build has definitely been significantly nerfed with the siege mode and with the overall DPS nerfs and the overall changes, because now if you are running a pulse range build, you really have to sacrifice some of the DPS for tank. You have to sacrifice some of the target painters for webs and things like that. I remember before all of the nerfs, you could use the pulse ladder Apocalypse 100% AFK just the way you can use the beam lasers now at 100 plus kilometers. But of course, with all the changes, that's changed. Of course, as to be expected after all, and I expect even more things to be changed. Now, what things I expect to be changed? I expect the developers to add targeting distance in April or around April, around that time. That's what I believe will happen, and well, when that happens, then the game will significantly change. And I expect some new modules to be added. If that happens, sensor boosters will be a thing, and the Apocalypse Striker build will change because now the Apocalypse Strikers will use sensor boosters, multiple of them in medium slots or even in low slots, depends on what slot they decide them to be at. But in that case, you will be able to use the Apocalypse Striker, but with a changed build. There is a response to any change. Players just have to think about the approach. So even if they introduce the maximum targeting distance, basically no more 1000 kilometer range, but limited range for every ship. Every ship will have its own maximum targeting range. Then some of the older ships might become even more valuable, while some of the older ships that are very popular now will also be viable, but with a changed build. And I think that would be a very nice little update. And besides that, I expect again a lot more DPS nerfs. I actually think that the barrage was changed a little bit, because I noticed my rate of fire does seem to be reduced by a little bit, not by much, nothing what most players will notice, but I noticed that my Macarial started to fire just a little bit slowly, at least slower than it used to. And I think I have the level 33 barrage implant. I actually don't pay much attention to my implant levels. I barely even look at that window. At one point I was just using the thermal implant while I completely was avoiding to use the other ones that I have, but recently with the Cinnaball status and some of the other ships I started to use them again. And honestly, in the end, they don't really change much, because with or without implants, I will still destroy ships. That's never going to be changed. Now, I have been looking at this ship for a while, and I noticed that the laser effects on the beam lasers have been changed again. They look very pretty. The overall effects that have been changed are very nice. The beam laser does carry the weight when you see it fire, and yeah, a very good job on the effects, that's for sure. Now I have the general unit for range, and I have the heat sink unit, and most players will not have a level 45 implant, so now the level 45 implant feels like the level 25 or level 30 implant before the nerf. So overall, I have to say some significant changes have been done. Now, it might not be as apparent with my current layout here and with my current build, because I naturally built the ship to counter the nerfs, and it works, but with reduced DPS.
Enemy
But
ships
still,
detected.
as you can see, it is clearing the missions
We're
just
under
fine. And
attack.
these ships that I'm shooting at are a bit more serious because this is kind of a storyline mission, but
We're under
disguised
attack.
as a normal 5 million ISK mission. However, you have a full storyline mission wave. The last wave has like 25 ships. It has elite battleships and all the other nasty things like that. So, on the grand scale, is the nerf noticeable? Well, I have to say it definitely is. Mostly because I just notice these small things, and when I play the ships, because I play these ships a lot. When I test things out, I play a lot of different builds, and before I record the video, I test the build out to see if it's worth anything, you know, because sometimes the build that I come up with is not that good, and before I record, I change the build into something better. But yeah, there is a significant difference, and I kind of like the fact that the implants are finally getting nerfed one by one. Some of them do require other changes in the not necessarily a nerf, but some of the implants are using too much implant fuel, and I think that's going to be changed. Some of them have too little stamina, that's probably going to be changed as well. Especially for the barrage implant, I think they will nerf the rate of fire while they will increase the ammo capacity. And I'm totally fine with that, which means it means that I'll be able to use the implant for a lot longer, which means I'll have longer stable DPS. It's ridiculous how quickly some of the ships go through the barrage implant ammunition. Some of the ships deplete the clip while you blink. The Cinnabal, Tramiel, DPS, Cinnabal, DPS, Tramiel, they empty the the ammo clip so fast. It's ridiculous. But for the apocalypse target here, you know, there's something very satisfying about flying this ship, and I think that's also one of the reason why players like the apocalypse. It's so relaxing to just sit there and blast these ships. Not only is it quick, but it's satisfying, and I think that is one of the reasons why this ship is so popular. I was asked if the Revelation can do the same thing with the high-angle weapons, and I think I did a video on that. Actually, no, I did a live stream on that. The Revelation is not really, you know, meant for missions or for ratting. You can use it, however, it does work really, really well. The only difference would be the range. The Revelation doesn't have 100 plus kilometer range, and the tracking is going to be a bit different. And the most important thing to keep in mind is the fact that you can't move in the siege mode. Now, the siege mode cooldown on the apocalypse is like 6 seconds, while the siege cooldown on the Revelation is about 120. So if you get tackled or if there is a hostile fleet nearby,
We're under attack.
then yeah, you might be in some trouble. But if
We're
you are
under attack.
using the Revelation for missions, then it means that you are safe from any danger. It means that you
We're
have
under
eyes
attack.
looking for potential threats, and it means that you have enough time to warp out or cloak if there is any incoming danger. This is the last wave. 25, about 25 plus ships did spawn. There is this other special mission that can give you 35 ships in the last wave. Not really sure if it's 35 or 36, about that number, but there are multiple special missions that can give you the materials for the tier 4 rigs. And of course, I use the tier 3 rigs, no tier 4 rigs. This is actually... I'm actually testing this on a very cheap Apocalypse. Some of the other Apocalypse strikers have similar DPS. Actually, I think they have the same DPS, but with much more expensive builds. Some of them use A types. I have seen some that use X types. I think the average build uses B types, but I went with the C types because I already got the implant on level 45, and that can kind of give you an example of how a type or X type or B type Apocalypse striker would work with tier 4 rigs, about the same DPS as the current thing. With about the same general units and with a level 15 or level 30 implant. I think the best level for the focus crystal is about 30. Above 30 it might be a waste of ISK, basically about the same as the barrage implant. I still want those 15 billion ISK back from the 3 levels that I did to get to level 33 on the barrage implant. Also feel free to take screenshots of this ship, because I made sure that I can get some very nice pictures of this thing. The Illusionary Ghost Nanocore does give you some very nice visual effects on your ship. 333 million ISK was the first tick, which is not bad. 33 million, and I'm fairly sure you can get more depending on the build. I mean, you could get more, but I think that's been reduced a little bit. It's still a lot of ISK to get per one tick. I almost cleared the whole mission in one go. There is no 6th wave. Overall, I do like these missions. They are very fun. Can be quite challenging and excellent. They're excellent for testing things out. And the last ship on the wave, and then the mission should be completed. Now, what are the overall results with the Apocalypse Striker after the nerf? Is it good or is it bad? Well, of course, it's definitely not bad. The ship is still running really good, and you can still get some amazing clear times with this thing. Overall, I will say one thing though. I would be ready for even more nerfs to arrive, because there is still quite a disbalance between the implants. So April might solve that issue, because, well, that's usually when a lot of changes are being made. April is their month for
Warp
the
drive
balance
active.
patch, and a balance patch is coming in 1 month, so we will see what things will be changed. Overall, again, I expect a lot of implants to be reworked, to be changed, and hopefully they will do the right thing. So far they have been going on the right track with the focus crystal nerf. Of course, there is still room for more nerfing. I believe they'll do it, not only for one
Docking
implant,
request
but
accepted.
for a lot of other implants as well. However, I still do like the Apocalypse Striker. It's still a fantastic boat. It's still a monster, let's not forget that. And it still is, and probably will always be, the king of PvE. So with that being said, I really hope that you enjoyed. Stay safe, fly safe, and as always... Oh, hold a second, I did forget to show you the implant. 19 plus 19.20% extra laser damage on the illusionary ghost. So yeah, it's not upgraded, it's basically the default stat only. Alright, and now with that being said, hope that you enjoyed. Stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.